Fit for Life Radio, episode number 153. Your hosts, Gary and Will.
One day we're going to hit 200.
Today we're talking about serving up a simple guide.
Serve it up.
A simple guide to fat loss.
How simple?
Super simple.
Simple.
No major details, just kind of broad stroke tips. So, if you feel like getting started, it's a good framework to wrap your brain around.
Or if you're overwhelmed by the insane amount of information that's extremely polarizing out there that tells you to do all the opposite things, this might give you a little direction.
Yeah.
Calm you down a little bit.
For one, the nuance of fat loss versus weight loss.
That is different.
It's important, All fat loss is weight loss, right? But not all weight loss is fat loss.
Very true. And,
that's important because when we talk about losing weight, when people want to change their body or they grab something and they're like, I want to lose this, it's fat loss that we want, right?
Yeah.
The health benefits, that are associated, correlated with weight loss, or it's the fat loss,
there's no benefit to losing muscle.
To lose a muscle and bone and
Yeah.
things like that. And then a lot of the other weight is like stuff that's natural to shift and move, like, stored glycogen and water and
food,
all those things, food in our bellies. So fat loss, that is what we want to lose. That's what, we want to target. So yeah, these are some basic tips that are a good starting point. I mean, really just the framework, you can get detailed within each tip as you go, but yeah, the key to fat loss, right? And, we have a gym, right? So a lot of times it's, people, it's almost very weird for us to talk about because, hey, our business is like, come exercise, come work out. But we'll be the first to tell you when it comes to fat loss and drastically changing your body composition, nutrition plays a big role, right? You're really, it's not going to happen without addressing your nutrition. The exercise is important, and as you'll see as we get into it, there is a tip related to it. But yeah, we're going to start with the first tip for the Simple Fat Loss Guide, which is to include a base of lean protein with your meals.
Always.
Right? So things like chicken breast, egg whites, non-fat, plain Greek yogurt, tofu, fish.
Fishies.
There you go. Like that,
there's plenty more.
You want
sure.
to build your meals around those things.
That's actually maybe the best guideline that there could be for nutrition, and maybe the simplest is make sure all of your meals are centered around lean protein, and just make sure you're getting a good amount of it. And if you do that, it kind of knocks a lot of dominoes over.
And it really, you'll see it eliminates, when we have all this mindless snacking, like there's none of those foods are typically part of those things.
No one's munching a chicken breast.
Yeah. And again, we use protein to repair, rebuild. It has different functions than fats and carbs. And the reality is most people underconsume protein for an optimal result and overconsume fats and carbs, right, which are energy nutrients.
Yeah, you have a lot of fuel but nothing to repair yourself.
Yeah, then your body has to have the protein. So if it does not get it through food, it's going to get it from your body. It's going to break down your muscle tissue, which now is weight we do not want to lose. We do not want to lose our hard-earned muscle because then that means we're losing the thing that gives us, power and function as we age.
Yeah, and something to remember, I think maybe some people overlook it or forget it, but more of our body is made of protein than just our muscles. Literally the whole thing. Protein, head to toe. It makes up literally like every, our cells, everything. So we need it at a base level to just keep this baby running. So don't think that it's only fueling or building muscle. Like it's the whole machine that we're building.
And look, we have an episode on this specifically. We'll try to find the number, but it's episode, we say lean protein. That is important, especially when it comes to fat loss, because if you're choosing, say, a chicken breast or chicken sausage, right? One can be fattier, which then means extra calories, right? We don't necessarily want to just demonize the nutrient that is fat.
No.
But again, it's super more calorie dense. So you want to focus on lean proteins, right? And then you'll notice, again, when we list foods like egg whites, chicken breast, tofu, plain unsweetened Greek yogurt, fish, those foods aren't convenient foods typically, right? So then you start to see where, okay, I'm going to have to buy these and prepare them. And, so those are deeper factors. But on the surface, you've got to be moving towards including a base of lean protein with your meals. And again, this is also going to help with satiety. So from feeling like you need to eat an hour later, those kind of things. So that would be, good tip to start with.
And if you are kind of auditing what you're doing, an easy thing, and we've talked about this, and I've talked about it a lot, is just like going to a leaner version of what you're eating, right? If you're having ground beef, go from 80-20 to 90-10, in terms of the percentage of, lean to fat or whatever it is. It could be, chicken thighs to chicken breast. Chicken thighs don't have that much fat compared to the other stuff. But even then, like, go from a fattier fish to a lean fish. Things like that can be very easy ways to change, the calorie amount, but not really mess with your volume, right? So it doesn't feel like, I'm eating so much less food. You're just, changing the calorie amount of that same amount, essentially.
And you may be listening to this, and your breakfast is a muffin, and your lunch is a bowl of pasta, and your dinner is French fries. And and then in between you're snacking on chips and stuff. And
grabbing a Snickers.
You realize you have no lean protein, no main protein source in any of your meals, and that's typically not helpful.
And that's going to drive your hunger all day.
It's all fat and carbs, which are energy nutrients, which we need some of, right? But if we overdo it,
you don't want it to be everything you're eating.
All right. So then with that, second tip: include a base of non-starchy vegetables, right?
What is a non-starchy vegetable?
So things like broccoli, lettuce, like any green veggie,
basically anything that's not like a potato.
So a lot of times, like people, a potato is a vegetable, but it's a starchy vegetable.
Yes.
Corn is a vegetable; it's a starchy vegetable. So again, non-starchy veggies. You can Google and get a good list.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of green stuff, and then things like cucumbers, tomatoes, bell peppers, which are all actually technically fruits, but
let's lump them into
labels
veggies.
them as veggies.
Yeah.
But essentially, a non-starchy veggie is like a very low calorie, low they have a lot of nutrition, but their macronutrients, their carbohydrate amount is low. So
I usually don't really count
veggies.
I just they're their own thing, unless I'm eating a potato.
Well, and that's again, with this being a simple guide, that's what we want, right? Exactly. The reality is you don't need to be tracking or counting with this simple guide as much. Like if you do these things, it kind of takes care of itself. So
Agreed.
Again, now after these two tips, you kind of have your meals, right? So a base of lean protein and non-starchy veggies. So you could have
any combination thereof too.
Yeah, load up, and then from there, tip number 3. So, and again, now with this, we have a base of protein and fiber, right? Which is going to help you feel full, satiated, less hungry, make it easier to lose weight, and more specifically, body fat. So, 3 is going to be one that a lot of people don't think of, or it's overlooked, or technically it doesn't matter. But again, when you're keeping it simple, it does matter, right? Which is you want to kind of try and standardize your meal times. Our body does have like certain hormones and functions to where, say you eat all the time, you're always snacking, our adrenaline and hunger hormones will, even if you can feel, your body gets used to having food at those times.
It expects it. So then your brain's like, hey, it's time to eat. We normally eat at 10 a.m. every day.
Yeah. And it likes structure and routine. So now when you're talking having protein and veggie-based meals, so schedule them. That will be very helpful. And try not to like have random snacks in between, because it kind of like is going to, keep, you're probably going to feel hungry all the time.
Yeah.
If you know me, you know I'm always on the run. up early, and home late, so having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's one scoop, mixed in water, once a day, and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out. If you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late, so having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's one scoop, mixed in water, once a day, and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out.
Right. Whereas if you standardize your meal times, you're going to probably have more sustainable eating habits because you know, oh, I eat at this time. You don't put it off and then skip it and then get extra hungry and then gorge. You're now prioritizing it because you're saying, hey, like I'm eating at these times. It gets scheduled in. And then also, like we said, there is some benefit and support kind of some functions that go on in our body that just make it a little easier on us. So you could even go a step further with that and trying to have basically evenly sized meals. So again, you're splitting things up evenly is helpful. So your body, it's very consistent and it kind of knows what to expect. You'll have less kind of swing and cravings and hunger that way. So right there, we have kind of forms the nutrition, right?
Yeah.
Part of the fat loss. You're having lean protein and non-starchy veggie-based meals at set times.
Yeah.
Right? Now, for most people, 3 meals a day is a good common one.
Yeah. It fits into most people's schedules and their
so you
work.
have
And
a breakfast and a lunch and a dinner,
Yeah.
right? But, you know, whatever you want to go with. So with that said, too, you kind of want to focus on, you know, a lot of people then will ask, what about this or that or the greens powder or, you know, protein powder, which, you know, all those things can be great. Go back. We have some episodes specifically on supplements, but eating whole food versus supplements is always going to be better.
And it's more filling, you know,
Yep.
like a protein shake versus the equivalent amount of protein in something like, we'll just use a chicken breast. You're going to feel different after each of those.
Yeah.
Like you're going to feel more full after the chicken breast, or even go farther, chicken breast with veggies versus protein powder with greens powder.
Yeah.
Completely different ball game on both of those. So not to say that the powders are bad, but in this context, we want to be a little more full. So then that way we're less prone to, snacking or binging or anything like that.
Yep. Then the next tip is you want to add in resistance training to your routine.
Lift some weights.
Right.
It could be any type of resistance training, though.
Yeah, and a lot of people that kind of flips what they thought they know upside down. People think, I got to do more cardio, I got to go harder, I got to do this. No, the reality is we want to ensure fat loss. We need to make sure we're not losing muscle. So by doing resistance training, we're providing that stimulus to where our body is much more likely to maintain and hold on to the muscle we already have, so that through the calorie deficit, your body is burning your stored fat for energy and nutrition, because it's getting the amino acids, the protein it needs from your food intake, and then you're using your muscles. So it's, again, getting that stimulus.
It's telling your brain, hey, we need to keep these, so you're going to prioritize that. And
I'm getting everything I need to keep them. So I'm just going to burn this stored fat for the energy deficit that I'm experiencing. And then that's how we lose body fat, right? So resistance training at this base is much more important than extra cardiovascular. Now, again, if you have the time and then you have this base established, there's a time and place and benefit to adding in extra stuff. But again,
and then know the dosage too. Like you can't just do 7 days a week of cardio. So keep your base of just lift some weights. And again, we have episodes on that and the frequency and what the bare minimum is. And
and if you're new or really just, your goals, depend on your goals, 2 days a week can be enough. That's it.
2 days a week. And then, you know what? If you like activity, go for a walk, go for a bike ride. It doesn't have to be 6 days a week of crushing it in the gym to get results. So get your 2 days, feel good.
Yep. And really, we would recommend, I would almost go as far as saying, I don't even think I would recommend fat loss diet and attempting to lose fat without doing resistance training.
I wouldn't either.
Because now you're really going to you might get in this deficit and just fast forward muscle loss.
Yeah. What happens, man, I actually had a new client come through that it was in the same boat. She dieted down and lost 70 pounds, but realized she lost a lot of muscle in the process. She was doing basically no exercise. I think she was working with somebody, a nutritionist or something, and they had her not exercising. And she was at 1,200 calories, which, she lost a lot of weight, but she started to feel weak and definitely lost strength.
And bone.
And came to us with the intention of hey, I know I need to strength train because I've lost a lot of muscle. And when you get to that point, you start to lose muscle mass. Though you've lost fat too, if you gain weight again, it's going to be even harder, right? So now you're back to being heavier, but you have less muscle
your body
than before.
Yeah, you have more. You could gain it back. Say you started at 300 pounds, lost 100 pounds, went down to 200, but you lost a lot of muscle. And then maybe things fall off and you gain 100 pounds back and you're at 300 again. You will actually your body fat will be more than before.
Yeah, your percentage will be higher.
Yeah, because your ratio of muscle to fat is worse off because you lost a bunch of muscle that you then add back. So
that's why we will always recommend doing some type of resistance training when you're losing weight.
I mean, really
even when you're not losing weight,
time,
I think everyone should resistance train, but especially in that situation because there is way more of a danger of muscle loss when you're in a big deficit like that.
Yeah. And side tangent, and there was another recent little study done where, but basically the conclusion was that even a lifelong, consistent aerobic exercising wasn't enough to prevent the type 1 muscle fibers from degrading in power and output, which is what kind of what's used, as we age and when you see the problems of where we get weak and frail and can't function. So essentially the takeaway is, we need to do resistance training. Even if you already do say aerobic, that's not
if you're
enough.
a runner,
yeah,
you still do need some type of resistance training. So
if being physically capable as you age is a priority.
If it's not, hey man, live your life. That's fine. It's your life, not mine. But we're always going to be champions for doing some type of resistance training. So,
and then to kind of wrap it up, the last tips, the old. Progress over perfection. So you got to focus on consistency and realize Yeah, you don't want to focus on trying to be perfect, and it's really going to be a detriment because when people try to go 100%, we just fall off, right?
Yep.
So 100% done for 2 months, but then we fall off and do nothing for 10 months is not going to outdo 80% done consistently.
Yeah, or even 50% done consistently is going to be way better. So just keep that in mind, and that showing up and continuing to do it is going to be the best thing for you.
Yeah. So whatever, say you have a crazy work schedule and super social work where you got to, whatever, you just can't, you have to eat whatever is there. That doesn't mean, you can still control your breakfast and your dinner and have your lean protein and non-starchy veggies. So just because your lunch is going to be way off doesn't mean, hey, let's establish these at the other times. Well, yeah, most people are like, oh, well, I can't be perfect. And then, so they change nothing, Or you try to gut through it and burn out.
Yeah.
So, again, if you catch yourself falling into that all or nothing mindset, just realize, something is better than nothing, and you just need to be good enough long enough.
And I think a good thing to maybe remind yourself or to strive for is just no matter really what happens, strive to make maybe your next meal like a routine meal, right? Yeah. So say you have a lunch that's just gets out of hand, with friends, and you had some drinks or whatever it may be, just your dinner, instead of saying, forget it, I'm just going to go ham, just have a normal dinner, and then just move on and get as back into your routine as you can.
Yeah.
That's all you can do, and I think a lot of us get stuck in that mindset of, well, I had a bad meal, whatever, it doesn't even matter anymore.
Yeah.
So just being okay with acknowledging that, hey, this was not as I planned, but I have the ability to, get myself back to normal or whatever I'm striving for.
Yeah.
So you are in control.
So to wrap it up, your simple fat loss guide: include a base of lean protein for your food, for your meals. Add to that a base of non-starchy vegetables. Try and have set meal times. Include resistance training in your routine, your exercise routine, your movement routine, and progress over perfection. Focus on consistency.
Yeah. It's simple, man. It really is. So please don't overcomplicate it.
Mm-hmm.
Use those as your principles, and I promise you, somebody could stick to just this, and probably get most of the way to whatever their goal is.
Yep.
Guarantee you.
Yep. And obviously, on the surface, like Will said, it can take you all the way. And there's more nuance and detail, and that's where tracking calories and keeping food journals and things like that come in. But either way, when you still end, like when we normally will move people through phases with our nutrition coaching, where, the tracking gives the coach more information too and brings awareness and we can learn. But we always want to typically end in a lifestyle integration where you don't have to track and journal, and you kind of have these habits established. And the reality is, hey, we just said these are, simple. A lot of people look at a beginner fat loss, but the reality is, when you are an expert in this, being an expert really actually just means you're mastering these basics really well, because that's where everything comes back to, is really doing these things right. Consistently.
Mm-hmm. Anybody who's had success with, their body composition or whatever it may be, have the basics are mastered. They get their lean protein every meal, and they have a good handle on that. They generally have very routine eating, and they're not doing anything crazy.
Yeah.
Like if you look at somebody who has a physique that you maybe desire or admire or whatever it is, all they do is the basics over and over. That's it. So it doesn't have to be crazy. Don't reinvent the wheel, which we try to do too often with nutrition.
Mm-hmm. All right, so hopefully that's helpful.
Maybe to give you some framework if you feel stuck or overwhelmed.
Yep.
Close all your tabs on your Google Chrome that have all the diets and all of that, and just follow the basic template.
Yeah, your diet doesn't need a name.
No.
Doesn't have to be a fancy book. Doesn't have to have a religion.
No, doesn't have to have a catchy name. Just do it. Doesn't have to have, a crowd attached to it. Followers. Just Just eat the food.
Yep.
It's the you diet.
All right. Well, we appreciate you for listening. Episode 153. And we'll be back next week.
See ya. As always, thanks for listening, guys. If you want to learn more, check us out at coastalfitnessva.com or garydeagle.com. We'll see you next time.